So with Alabama set to take on Mercer this Saturday, Wednesday we got our Nick Saban rat poison rant. But yesterday, Saban offered incredibly high praise about one particular true freshman, saying this kid has special talent, and even taking it a step further, comparing him to one of the all-time greats that Alabama had at that particular position. And on top of that, we need to talk about the names to know in Chris Allen's absence. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you agree that JoJo Earle has shades of Jalen Waddle, the comparison that Nick Saban made? And let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content, and you don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions, though small, are massive to content creators such as myself and getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But with all that being said, let's talk about this because Nick Saban had incredibly high praise for one particular true freshman in JoJo Earle, the freshman wide receiver hailing from Aledo, Texas, a powerhouse within the state of Texas. JoJo Earle is such an intriguing prospect. Originally committed to the LSU Tigers, but late during the process flipped to the Crimson Tide, a flip that all Tide fans have got to be over the moon about. I know when he flipped, I was ecstatic because I was able to see this kid play live multiple times, and every time I'd watch him play when he was ultimately committed to LSU, the only thing I could think is, man, this kid's going to be a thorn in Alabama's side and a thorn in the side of the SEC. Luckily, he ends up rolling with the Tide. The rest is history. But yesterday, Nick Saban offered incredibly high praise, saying that JoJo Earle has what he believes to be special, rare ability, and then even took it a step further, comparing JoJo Earle to Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle being one of the greats that Alabama has had at the wide receiver position. Jalen Waddle is one of the most explosive players in recent memory in college football. One of the guys that when he gets the ball in his hand, everybody kind of stiffens up because you know, any particular second he has the ball, he could take it to the house. He has that type of speed, that type of explosion. And so hearing Nick Saban compare a true freshman to Jalen Waddle is incredibly high praise. First and foremost, because Nick Saban doesn't do that. We don't hear Nick Saban saying of a true freshman, hey, this guy reminds me a whole lot of this great we had at this position. This great that was a top 10 draft pick in a season where they got hurt. That is mind-blowing to me. And look, to be fair, I've made this comparison before. For those of you that remember way back when, I did a feature with Ricky Green and I was talking at the time about how JoJo Earle had shades of Jalen Waddle in the explosion. In his sudden, quick start. I mean, the kid can go from 0 to 100 miles an hour in a snap. And that's what makes him so intriguing. In fact, do me a favor. After you finish this video, just go check on some JoJo Earle highlights and you'll see exactly what I mean. His stop-go is mind-blaring. How quickly he gets people caught in a bad situation simply because they cannot keep up with his acceleration. JoJo Earle has a ton of upside, and he's an individual who, at the time before he came in, I was thinking could be making a contribution to this Crimson Tide wide receiver room. However, I didn't imagine that he would come in this well and do this well, not having the spring. We have to remember, this is an individual that did not come in over the spring. He came in as a summer enrollee and has turned heads ever since. And in fact, one of the last wide receivers to come in and do that as a true freshman in the way that Earle has is Jalen Waddle. Now, I know Ajayi Hall had a ton of hype, and deservedly so, coming off of that spring game. He's a name we still need to keep in our mind because he is that talented. Now, the difference between Earle and Ajayi Hall is Earle right now has the benefit of being in that slot position where even though Alabama has Slade Bolden, Slade is a really solid slot wide receiver, they don't have the depth at that slot position that they do on the outside. Because at the outside, you have Jamison Williams, you have Mechie, but then you have Trayshawn Holden, you have Javon Baker, you have Ajayi Hall, you have Ja'Cory Brooks. So that outside wide receiver room is unbelievably talented, just very loaded. whereas JoJo Earle gets to work from the slot, where not only is it not as loaded, but he becomes an instant mismatch because of his explosion. This is a kid I'm very excited to see continue to progress throughout the season, but it's not just going to be relegated to the offense. Special teams are an area in which I think we can see JoJo Earle shine, because he has that ability. He did it for Alito at a high level, and Nick Saban has already pegged him as an individual that is capable of doing it for the Crimson Tide at a high level. Hearing this sort of praise from Nick Saban on a true freshman is rare. Let's make no mistake about it. And it puts JoJo Earle in a rarefied air for the individuals that have received it. But now I want to close on talking about individuals we need to keep in mind because of Chris Allen's injury. Chris Allen going down with a broken bone in his foot, set to miss the rest of the year. A big hit for Chris Allen. The last play he had in an Alabama uniform, luckily for him, was a unbelievable example of his form, his technique, and the upside he has in getting home and pressuring a quarterback. The last play he had in an Alabama uniform was a sack, which ultimately resulted in a fumble. So what a way to go out. But we're hoping all the best for Chris Allen. He's an individual I hope will find a place in the NFL. He was looking to have a big season to really increase his draft stock. I'm very interested to see how that all goes down. But in his absence, Alabama has a trio of 5 stars we need to look out for, and 2 of them are hailing from the same class, in Chris Braswell and Drew Sanders. Drew Sanders, 6'5", 250 pounds about, 5-star out of Denton Ryan, Texas. Once again, a powerhouse. He was a do-it-all guy. Y'all have heard me talk about him before. He's an individual I am really, really excited to see get his opportunity, but we don't need to just simply stop with Drew Sanders. As much upside as he has, Alabama will look to get in other guys as well, such as Chris Braswell. Chris Braswell, we saw during the A-Day game, show off his upside. And what an upside that was, because he looked really good during A-Day. There were some teaching moments, no doubt about it, but for a young guy still learning, you can see when he gets it all together, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, and that was during A-Day. A lot of time has passed, and we always need to remember these individuals, Drew Sanders, Will Anderson, Braswell, they didn't get an off season as a true freshman. Last year was their, or this year I should say, was their first true off season, so it's already impressive that they're doing what they're doing. Chris Braswell is an individual we have to keep an eye on, but true freshman Dallas Turner is an individual that Nick Saban also talked about. Another guy who came in during the summer and is getting praise from Saban, and because of that, we need to keep our eye on Dallas Turner. He has the build, he has the explosion. When you watch his highlights, he has it. I'm very interested to see how he goes and how he contributes. But this Alabama outside linebacker room is unbelievable. I've said in the past, I believe Alabama has the deepest inside linebacker room in the nation. I believe they have the deepest outside linebacker room in the nation. And you can bet your bottom dollar when you combine them, they have the deepest linebacking core in all of football, right? I understand there are other areas that have good outside linebackers, good inside linebackers. Alabama's sitting on 4 5-stars at the outside linebacker pass rush position that are going to be contributing throughout the course of this year. And then at the inside linebacker position, you're talking about 2 dudes in To'o To'o and Christian Harris that have all the athleticism you could ever want. And then in To'o To'o's case, his ability to come in, be a leader that quickly shows the type of person he is, and that's huge for his position. I'm very interested in hearing from y'all. First and foremost, about the high praise Nick Saban levied upon one JoJo Earle, comparing him to Jalen Waddle. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Chris Allen goes down. That's such a hit for Allen, an individual who is going to have a big season. But on the precipice of that, Alabama is going to be rotating in and out 3 other 5-stars to go along with Will Anderson, the other 5-star they had, giving them 4 5-stars from the outside linebacker position. And all of these guys are some dudes, and they're going to be making a name for themselves in college football. Cannot wait to hear from y'all. That's it. See ya.